Okay, so now we've had a look at a LAN, let's have a look at connecting a couple of LANs together. So we've got one LAN over here on the left with our switch as the center of our star network. We've got the Linksys router on here just so it can provide IP addresses, and you can see that the PCs here, if we hover over them, get rid of that. PCs here, if we hover over them, have got IP addresses in the 192.168 range, 100, 101, 102, and so on. And you can see the PCs over on this side, because they've got nobody supplying IP addresses, they've obviously got this 169 address. So if we want to connect these two LANs together, what can we do? Well, the simplest way to do it is basically just extend the switch. So like devices, go and get a crossover cable and connect any old port on this switch. We'll go for FA06 to FA05. We've now linked the two switches together. So effectively this has just made one big switch, which means all our PCs are effectively now on the same LAN. If we have a look at the PCs now, I don't know if it's kicked in. Now it's still got a 169 address here, so it's still retained the old address. If I actually go and reboot the PC by switching it off and switching it back on, let's have a look now. There you go, it's got a 104 address. So it's obviously picking up from the DHCP server that's on that router there. Let's have a quick look at the other PCs. Now it's still got a 169 address. So again, I'll reboot my PC and see what happens with the IP addresses. Hey presto, 192.168. So basically what we've done is we've connected two LANs together by connecting the switches, and effectively we've built one big LAN. What you'll notice is all the IP addresses in this LAN are all the same range. They're all 192.168.0 something. Okay, so having seen how we can connect these two LANs together, once it does work, it's not particularly good, because it may be that this LAN is one part of the business and the LAN on the left is a different part of the business, and now everybody can communicate without any worries. So that's not necessarily how we do it. So let's get rid of the bits that we don't want and have a look how we do it. What we'd actually do is we keep these as two separate LANs. Now to be two separate LANs, we need to connect the LANs together, but to keep them separate, not through a switch to switch connection, but to a router. So we're going to go down here, we're going to pull up this device 2811, and we just have a quick look at the device to see what's on it. If we look at the front of the device, what you'll see here, if I zoom in, is, if we get over there, a couple of fast Ethernet connectors. So this particular router, we can connect one LAN to here and one LAN to here, and you'll see what happens when we do that. So let's get ahead and do it. Get our cabling, straight through cable from here up to, we'll put fast and Ethernet 0 down here, and fast Ethernet 01 down here. And what we've done now is we've got one LAN connected through a router to another LAN. So these now has two distinct LANs. Now I'm not going to explain the configuration here, I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so what we've done now is we've got it all configured. If we have a look, we can hover over these points here, and what we should be able to see, oh, deleted that. This here is FA00 coming down this side. There we go. And coming down the other side is FA01. If we have a look at the router, you can see that FA00 is 192.168.0.1, and the other side is 192.168.1.1. So they're two distinct networks now. The first 3 bytes there, 192.168.0 is one network and 192.168.1 is another network. So if you have a look at all the PCs down here, they're all 192.168.0 something, so they belong to that particular LAN. And if we have a look at all the PCs down this side, they're all 192.168.1 something. So effectively here what we've done is we've interconnected two LANs through a router. The router here has got an interface in this LAN. If we have a look at the IP address, it's 192.168.0.1, and on this LAN over here the interface is the 0.1 interface, 192.168.1.1. So there's two LANs interconnected through a router. Okay, so splitting the LANs up using a router like this works well as long as the LANs are fairly close. These lines here, these Ethernet wires or cables, can only run up to a maximum of 100 meters. So if these two LANs are in different places and they're far apart, we can't simply do this. So what do? Well, we need to break up the two LANs just as we did before, but not using a single router now, but we need to use two routers. So there's our 2811, and what we're going to do is get another 2811. So here's another 2811, and we're going to connect one LAN to one router, which is obviously locally close to it, to the fast Ethernet 0, and the other router will connect to the other LAN. So these routers are geographically close to these. It'll be just the same as we have before, but now between the two routers we use a different connection. This one is one that could be supplied by an ISP, it could be a lease line, it could be a satellite, cable link, anything. These routers could be around the other side of the globe or off in deep space. We just need to use appropriate technology to connect these two together. So if we have a look inside these routers, what we've actually done, drag the router over here, look at the physical side, we've put this extra interface here, which is a wide area network type connection interface. And what we can do is just check, I don't know if one's in the other one, let's have a quick look. I know slot's empty there, so let's just put one of those cards in. I'll switch the router back on. So now what we can do is between these two routers we can take another kind of cable and we can connect the serial interface here to the serial interface over here. And effectively now what we've built is a wide area network. We've got one LAN here which is in one part of the world, we've got another LAN here which is in another part of the world, and we've got an interconnection between the two networks over a much wider area, and that's our wide area network. And we'll finish off just by having a look at how that actually works. Okay, and here it is all configured up. You can see we've got our serial link up and running. If we look at this router here, just go and inspect it, what we can see about this router is, get that over there in a minute, the IP address is a 192.168.0 for the LAN, and there's a 10 network on the serial link. And if we look at this router over here, it's got a 192.168.1 network for the LAN, so it's a different network, and again 10 on the serial link. So the serial link is actually another network in its own right, albeit it's only got two connections on. And that's basically how we would build a WAN.